This is Sam Goody Jacques, a.k.a. Mr. I Can Do Better, You Can Do Better, We Can Do Better, the United Way. I'm super excited to do this interview on Just Another Podcast with my brother, Heck.
Nice.
That was good?
That was
one take?
amazing. One take. Done.
Let me try one more time.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Just Another Podcast. Tonight, I got a special guest. I know y'all always hear me say that, but tonight, this is a man that I've known for 11 years. I've watched his growth. Been a beautiful thing. You know, this is a man who I've seen give $200 pair of sneakers to kids, you know, just because they needed it for basketball. I mean, this one of the most genuine guys that I know, that I've come to know in my life. Mr. I Can Do Better, Sam Jacques. I called him Jakes. I don't know why. Sam Jacques, Mr. I Can Do Better. But how's it go, Sam?
I can do better. You can do better. We can do better. The United Way.
That's right. There we go.
Shameless plug right
there. Nah, no shameless. It's pleasure. Let's do it all. Let's do it. So how you feeling today, brother?
I feel blessed, man. I appreciate you inviting me to your platform and giving me an opportunity to share some background on myself and what I got coming up and what I'm doing for the community.
Definitely, man. Definitely. It was funny was you was on the list, but I was like, okay, where am I gonna place him at? And then you hit me up. You was like, yo, trying to get on the show. And I'm like, okay, all right. Like, I was like, man, I was actually like thinking like I was gonna have you down the road because I was trying to, you know, there's so many people, but you was definitely on that first list. It was just trying to figure out where people were gonna be and stuff like that. But I think it's a great time. You've been doing a lot of great things lately. You recently had the Women's Month football game, the Women's Month event / flag football event.
So it was Black History Bowl, which we did Super Bowl weekend, and it was so successful that we wanted to do it again, and it fell into Women's History Month.
Yeah,
combined it, so we were celebrating Black History Month and the Black History Bowl. And we was also celebrating woman history as well.
Mm-hmm. No, that was dope. It was dope. I saw, unfortunately, I wish I could have stayed longer. I had just missed the marching band, but I saw it online. I saw it on your Instagram feed. And that was dope, man.
That was the best part. We were super excited to have Brooklyn United marching band. They're actually competing right now in Battle of the Boroughs, and you might catch them
on the Boroughs.
Or, they've been on Apollo. They've done a lot of amazing things.
Yeah. I tell you, you always, it's funny too, because you're like, yo, man, I'm not really good at putting these things together, but you do know how to put these things together. You've been, bro, since I've known you, you'll just be like, okay, you know what? You reach out to the community and the community loves you. You're a staple. You're a stakeholder, believe it or not. You are definitely a stakeholder.
And that means a lot for me because obviously you have a lot of ties in the Lower East Side, but you're not originally from the Lower East Side. So you're kind of like on the outside looking in, but you know me personally. So you hear and see what's going on with what we're putting together in the community. You know what I'm saying? So your feedback is amazing. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, listen, man, it's dope. You had a lot of vested people and, you did a great thing for the youth that could have just been upstairs. They could have been home playing PlayStation or, whatever the case may be. So, shout out to you, all for the city. Your man, what's his name again?
My man, Teron Lemons, for the love of the city.
For the love of the city. For the love of the city.
Teron Lemons, love of the city. Yeah. Shout out to Teron Lemons.
That is an amazing logo, by the way.
It is.
That's a dope logo.
I tell him all the time.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna reach out to him sooner than later, hopefully. But yeah, he's definitely doing his thing, and and kudos to you because you're kind of bringing him along, so to speak. It's kind of like, yeah, you're not passing the torch yet, but if it's somebody to pass the torch to, it's kind of looking like it would be him, so to speak. So I don't know,
communities, right? You see who's up next, watching who's next, right? Yeah. You want to make sure that it's continuing. So when you see somebody that has potential, you support them as much as you can, and that's what I see in Teron. Yeah. Teron is a person that I coached against when he was a youth. Then he became part of my events as a coach. Then he became part of my events as an MC. And now he's running his events on his own, and he has his own brand, working on big things. And I'm just here to support him and support our community in the future of it.
Yeah, man.
I'm really excited to see what he's going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy, too, because you guys work together a lot. And I know there could be some confusion around.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I posted him when I posted your ad, your promo.
Yep.
I tagged him in it, but I didn't want to. I had used a video that featured his logo. So I also wanted to say, you know what, I want to put, add on a logo to let people know that this, for the love of the city is part of it. But I probably should have worded it a little bit extra, put it in the verbiage or whatever, shout out. But, I don't know. It is what it is. But
I definitely want to make sure he gets his credit and his flowers.
Yeah. No,
for the love is definitely Teron Lemons. City on Lock is definitely Teron Lemons. I'm just a supporter. I guess I'm an OG in the hood that's always going to look out and help out those who need that support, right? Definitely. I'm under the umbrella of LES United. So with LES United, we support anybody that's doing something positive in the Lower East Side community. So it's only right that I'm there with him every event, supporting him.
Definitely.
To make his event successful.
All right, definitely.
I got that when I did I Can Do Better and when I was part of LES United. So we always got to support each other.
That's dope. That's dope. And that's something that I see a lot down here. Even with everything that goes on, I mean, you still got crime, you still got, all the things that happen down here. But it's like everyone knows each other. Even whether it's up the hill, down the hill, which is weird.
That's East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah.
People don't know up the hill, down the hill is East Coast, West Coast, and the Lower Side. Two different worlds. 20 minutes apart, max. Two different worlds, though. I talk about
it really is, though.
Today, we had a meeting for my upcoming event on April 24th, and he was up the hill. It's my hometown. Yeah, and he's from and down the hill. So I asked him, have you ever played in 134, the cage? And he was like, nah. And I'm like, what? Are you crazy? How you play ball? You never played 134?
That's up the hill.
So then he asked if I ever played on 10th Street and Avenue D, aka the Desert, or Tompkins Square Park. And I was like, yo, I never really played over there because I'm not from that area. That's not my zone.
Yo, it's not until I moved down here working down here, I used to always hear it, but I used to be like, that's not, I don't know, I don't get it. Then I moved down here and I started learning the history. Because the history, there's an intense history.
It is.
And different OGs was telling me, yo, and being diplomatic, they weren't shooting at each other. They just they gave me the origins of up the block, up, down the hill, up the hill. And I'm like, but I do realize they listen, it's one of those things that it's been going on for so long that
you can see the grandparents, great-grandparents, it's been a weird stigma where the elders be like, don't go up the hill, it's dangerous up there. And the up the hill elders will be like, don't go down the hill, it's dangerous down there. And when you go down there, it's not that bad. It's just a stigma that's put out there that we just continue. But it stems from night shift complexes, right? Mm-hmm. And we have so many in the Lower East Side. And they're literally back to back to back to back. And some of them are literally across from each other. Yeah. So that's what it's from this night shift complex. You can't go to this night shift complex. And if it's more than 3 projects away, you definitely can't go. You know what I mean? And the only pass you really had is if you was a ball player.
Right, yeah. Right? Yeah. That's a fact. But it's funny because you talked about the history and stuff of different things going on down here. I want to talk about your history a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I want to get into like who Sam Jacques was growing up, and you know, how, that journey into, you know, becoming, you know, or you know, the realization of who you are now, but how you were in the beginning, you know. But
go there. I'm Haitian American.
Okay.
Grew up in a single parent home. Haitian moms, old school mom. You know, nervous about everything. Immigrant mom, scared of the city, thinking everything is dangerous. So she kept me in the crib for the most part when I was really, really young. Worked really in Catholic school. I went to St. Patrick's, Cathedral, Italy.
Nice.
I was a shy, quiet kid, real young, real timid. I believe I was in 6th grade when I started playing basketball in my house, breaking up my crib with the hanger hoop. Remember the old school hanger hoop? And then get socks, 30 socks, roll them up over here, doing my Michael Jordans and breaking up my crib. And I remember my mom's going to like the 99-cent store and buying me this rubber basketball, this cheap rubber basketball, you bounce it and go all the way to the roof. And she took me to the park for the first time, right? And like I said, my mom's this old school immigrant where she was wearing a muumuu, if you know what a muumuu is.
No, I know what a muumuu is.
So she was wearing a muumuu. She brings me outside. She has no sports background.
Okay.
She's literally shooting the ball underhand, trying to teach me how to hoop, which was super embarrassing outside.
That's dope, though. That's dope, though. Yeah.
So I actually seen one of my friends, Kahari, working out with his father.
Yeah.
And obviously I grew up without a father. And his father stepped up and asked if I wanted to join. I joined. He told me about Henry Street Settlement. Okay. I signed up. I was playing, I believe, 12 and under. And I was on a stacked team. I was on a super stacked team. We went undefeated. I got no minutes, really. But I ended up getting a trophy, right? My first time ever playing basketball under the whistle, I got a trophy.
That's dope.
So with that trophy, I was so excited. I brought it to school, right, to show it off.
Yeah.
So I bring it to school. Everyone in my school like, where we get that trophy from? And I always knew Charlie. You know, God rest his soul.
Oh, okay. Right.
But that's kind of how we clicked for real. Because we both realized we love basketball.
Yeah.
We were the 2 best athletes in our class at the time. Okay. And he asked me to join his team, which was called St. Patrick's. And that was under the Greenwich Village Youth Council. And that was our bond, and that's how I started playing ball. But I was a late bloomer. To start playing ball under the whistle in 6th grade, really, 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 really late. Most kids probably start like 3rd grade.
Yeah.
I was kind of late. And I was really tall and athletic for my age. So I started off by playing center. Right? And I really grew. So I was like a 5'11" center in like 7th, 8th grade. Then I went into high school and I couldn't be a 5'11" center in high school.
Right.
I turned into like a power forward, small forward. And eventually I transitioned to shooting guard. Right. And then finally when I went to college, I ended up playing point guard. Okay. But growing up in the Lower East Side, basketball, skate, I went to a lot of after-school programs because my mom worked so much.
Yeah.
Through the after-school programs and through these teams, I made a lot of friends in my community. I met a lot of leaders and mentors in my community.
Okay.
And that kind of molded me into giving back because I saw a lot of people from my community working in these after-school programs. When I was younger, it was mostly people from the neighborhood that was working in these grassroots programs. Right. So whenever you would leave the program, you would still see them in the neighborhood. Right. And they still check in on you, be like, I know what you're doing. Just because we're not in a program doesn't mean I can't check you, right?
Right.
So that was the era I grew up in. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to keep that neighborhood friendly, give back, right? And it died out a little bit. Word of mouth died out a little bit, but I still have those old school values and I still go about life the same way I grew up. And that's why I'm in the position I am in right now as far as giving back, being an event coordinator,
definitely,
you know, a leader in my community, a mentor, literally.
Definitely.
So that's kind of the background and where it came from because I went through so many grassroots programming. I played on so many different basketball teams. Yeah. Like I went to the Boys Club of New York, told you Henry Street Settlement, my home. I went to a lot of different programs. I played for New Life. Yeah. I did a lot of different things and I worked with a lot of good people that made me the person I am today.
That's what's up. I want to ask you a question. And I'm going to ask you this question. Like you grew up in a single parent home. It's becoming very interesting to me because a lot of the people I've interviewed, growing up in single parent homes. I think a majority of the people, I think maybe 2 people out of this is technically the 12th interview, even though it's episode 13. But it's you know what I mean? Like there's been 9 people out and strong, outstanding, hardworking people that grew up in single homes, you know, including myself, even regardless of however I grew up, like it was me and my mom until a certain time or whatever. And it's an interesting thing to see how you all have strived to become such amazing people, because statistics will show otherwise. You guys are the anomalies if you really think about it. Speaking with 9 people who have bucked that trend and have become super successful. You're super successful. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people I've interviewed. But do you care to like speak on that a little bit?
Absolutely. And it's all about changing the narrative, right? And getting rid of those stigmas that we grew up with, right? And we hear it in our music, rap music. We see it in the movies that we enjoy. And for a very, very, very long time, I never thought I would pass the age 25. Not because I was a kid that was in the streets or involved with gangs heavily or doing stuff that I should have been doing. Right. It was just normalizing the hood, normalizing our music, normalizing the movies, entertainment that we partake in, right? Yeah. So I just always I never thought I was going to pass a certain age because of that. And I even remember, because there's so much pride and ignorance, unfortunately, in our community, right? And because of the lack of fathers in the household, we learn from the streets. We learn from the older males in our community, right? And some of them are not role models, right? the bad information that they receive because they think that's normal in our communities. Yeah. And for a very long time, I had this mentality where I was willing to die for my pride. Yeah. If somebody was to call me pussy when I was at that age, that adolescent age, I would fight to death over that. Yeah. There's no way. I'm not thinking about my future. I would go to jail because of that word, or I would because of that word. And that's an ignorant mentality to have, right? Yeah. And it took a long time for me to grow out of that, right? Yeah. And hardworking single parents like my mother, she didn't want that for me because she could have easily saved money because she was paying for these programs. Oh, wow. Right? Wow. And she could have easily saved money, right? She was paying for my Catholic school. Right. I thought was $600 a month. Wow. At the time, I didn't appreciate it because I'm like, damn, I could be using that money to get fly. Right? Public school kids with the same cop uniform every day, these cop shoes, right? And I didn't appreciate none of these things because of the stigmas and the narrative that they put in our communities. Yeah. And it wasn't until I was in these programs and I was around these leaders and mentors that my eyes started to open, and me traveling outside of the city and seeing this stuff outside of my projects, outside of my community, and I could have a future. And college is a real thing that can happen for me, right? Yeah. You know, these people don't even think they could get to college or finish high school, right? That's true, true. So, yeah, I definitely co-sign a lot of things you just touched on just now. Yeah, and I mean, it's talking about being a role model, right? Being a role model, right? Even with let's talk about Charles Barkley saying, I'm not a role model. There's a lot of pressure being a role model from the hood because we all make mistakes. Yeah, without a doubt. Myself as a role model, and I appreciate you saying that because you get an opportunity to be on the outside looking in, right? And I guess at one point in time, I was considered cool, right? The cool coach, right? Nike, Into Young, right? Urban. And I was influential. And I was always afraid of that because I was always afraid of them seeing me fall or do something wrong. And there's nothing wrong with you falling sometimes, as long as you get back up and teach them from the mistakes that you made, right? That's what it's about. Making mistakes and trying to get the people younger than you not to make the same mistakes that you made and avoiding those mistakes in life. And mistakes will happen in life. Oh, no, without a doubt. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. Because it's crazy that we're coming full circle because I was there for the beginning. You got a chance to see what I was building and doing from the beginning, right? Yeah. And that was 10 years ago, heck, right? Yeah. It's crazy. I'm still involved with the same thing, and I've gotten accustomed to it. Now I can go anywhere every time people know me. Sometimes I don't even know the people. They know me because of the work I've put in the community. And I'm just saying hi to everybody now. Now I have to say hi to everybody, right? And I know that I'm influential and I'm a leader and I have an impact, right? And I'm connect. People gonna say, let's talk to them about this first. Let's get ideas. I'm coordinating events for kids and people in the community, and people didn't even know I was an event coordinator on the side. Right. And I'm having people, do what they need to do for themselves. It's crazy. Because at first I just wanted to honor my best friend, right? I wanted to remove that pain that was in his community, that was within his family, that was within his friends, right? And it came from the event that we hosted at Grand Street Settlement for Sedante, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
And, that was a few months after Charlie had passed away, and I was still dealing with that and struggling with that. And at the time, in my head, I was like, I don't want to deal with no more deaths, especially due to violence, especially gun violence, right? It was a trigger for me. And I was still suffering from my PTSD. Yeah. And when I saw Melvin, a.k.a. Booby, suffering, one of my players from Grand Street Settlement, struggling with that loss. Yeah. And, I was around the age when I first dealt with a personal friend being murdered in the street. You know what I mean? God rest his soul, Carter. So I felt compelled to be there for them. I tried to walk away and not be there and deal with my own pain. But I was like, God has a plan for me. And I approached it with the LeBrons. LeBrons, that's an incentive, right?
Yeah.
Turn that negative tragedy into something positive. So I told him, I will give you a pair of LeBrons if you meet me here with all your friends that are suffering from this tragedy and this loss, and maybe we'll do something special, and maybe I'll take you guys to my church and we'll do a special prayer in honor of Sedante.
That's dope.
And that weekend, that Sunday, I'm expecting like 10 kids. It was like 40 to 50 kids out there.
That's what's up.
Outside of projects, waiting for me.
That's what's up.
And there was so many candles put out for Sedante.
Yeah.
That we were running out of space, and it was in front of a business, a dry cleaner business. And
I remember that.
So we put it towards the wall.
Yeah.
And we created a heart shape with all the candles that we had. It was that many candles.
I remember that.
We to walk to my church, which was about maybe like 3 blocks away. Yeah. We got there a little late, and it's not easy to walk into a church with 50 kids from the hood. So it worked out that we were late. And, I asked the pastor if he could take us to the basement and say special prayer. He does a special prayer with all 50 kids. Some of these kids have never even stepped foot in the church, right?
Right.
Church, right? We do the special prayer, and I felt like that wasn't enough. These kids needed something. They needed some kind of platform, right? To relieve the stress and anxiety that they were going through, that I was going through. So, I made a phone call. At the time, I called Judith Sam.
Yeah. Shout out to Judith.
Shahida Smith.
Shout out Shahida.
And I called Pupa. We reached out to Ali, and we put the event together, and the event was super impactful for the community. I've never been part of something that impactful where we felt the energy as soon as you walked into that gym. The gym was, I've never seen that. Right?
We were at capacity. We were at capacity.
Literally at capacity.
I remember that.
We church made, and we had Coach Ashley at the time, and I told her, every time out you get to say something in the huddle, on the count of 3, we're going to yell out Sedante's name because it's all about him. It's not about winning, losing. It's not about how you look. It's all about representing that person the best way you can through the sport that you love. Definitely. And then, of course, we had musical performances. We had a live DJ there. And it's a blessing. Then right after the event, we went outside, right? I had shout out to Coach Peaches. We had all those guests go outside. And it was raining that night.
Yeah.
Out there, and we prayed across the street from the project. I've never been part of nothing like this.
We did the march. We did the march. I remember that.
Yeah, we did a march. We did so many different things. And I was so inspired by that. That after that night, I said, I have to do something in honor of Charlie. If I could do this for Sedante and out of Lower East Side community, I could do this for Charlie and his community. And that's how I Could Do Better began. I was inspired by that.
Definitely. 2 things I want to say to that. The first thing is you put that event together so well. And of course, there was help involved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you were the leader. You know what I'm saying? Like you were the push, the driving force for that. I thought you had done events. Nope. Like I thought that was like all you did. Like I was like, oh, okay, Coach Sam, like he knows how to do these. And like I thought you'd been doing them. I didn't know that was your first one. That's crazy. Like just learning that now. Wow, that's crazy.
That was my first. I was always a resourceful person that had connections.
Yeah.
I always had a Nike plug. You know, and I was always good at networking. So whoever I would meet, I would tell them what I do and who I work for.
Mm-hmm.
And people always want to support inner city youth. And I use that I was an inner city youth. I wanted to sponsor, do these things for the community. So that was my angle, like give back, right? I want to give back. You're in a position to give back, give back.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, that's crazy. Like 11 years later, 10 years later, like I thought you had done a whole bunch of events before. The second thing is the fact that you were dealing with PTSD and it never showed. And that's that's a credit to your strength or whatever the case may be. But I met you before that. Like it was like a whole year before. It wasn't a whole year. It was a whole year before that. It was a whole year.
Charlie happened in October. So Dante happened January, like the third day of January, I believe.
All right. So I had known you. I had known you before that happened then.
Yeah.
And even during that, like you just never, like you always had a smile on your face. Your energy was positive. And, shout out to you for trying to, for dealing with that in your own space. And, not to say, listen, like that's a tough thing, and come, being someone that's had friends die from gun violence, that's tough.
Yo, heck,
yeah.
Just talking about in our communities, right?
Yeah.
Seeking counseling and therapy is a big stigma. Nobody wants to sit down and tell their personal business to somebody they don't know at all. Definitely. Or feel like they consider crazy, right?
Yeah.
Right? And we all probably suffer PTSD without even knowing it.
Without a doubt.
We're like numb to it because it's so common that these things are happening in our hood. The first time I dealt with a murder in front of me, I was getting ready to go to college 3 weeks after that. Wow. My best friend was stabbed and murdered and dropped in front of me, and I watched him take his last breath. Right?
Wow.
And I guess that's considered normal in our communities, right? Because he got murdered when he was like 19 years old, I believe. Wow. 18, 19 years old. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
And we, like I said, we grow numb to that. Yeah. And I was suffering. Trust me, I was suffering. Yeah. I chose to be strong because Charlie's family, friends, nobody was strong. And I felt like if I folded, people connected to me, right? Obviously, because I was there with him. I was the last person to speak to him and deal with him. Right. Like he literally was dying in my arms. His blood was on me. Like it looked like I got shot that night because all of his blood was on me. I was the one stopped bleeding. So when I did finally meet up with his friends and family after I was arrested that night as well. Because whenever you bring a gunshot victim into the hospital, I didn't know Charlie was until after I came out the precinct. I was picked up.
Wow.
I was praying the whole time I was in the cell that he was alive. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I literally was in a cab with Charlie driving to Bellevue Hospital, having him fight for his life, literally having to smack him in the face to revive him because he's falling asleep saying it hurts too much, I'm giving up. It's burning.
Wow.
So when I say traumatizing, I'm in the back of the cab with somebody bleeding out with their blood all over me. And I'm trying to find the wound. I can't find the wound. I'm literally trying to save somebody's life. I've never been in a position to save somebody's life before. I can't find the wound. I'm not a doctor. Right? And if they do get to the hospital, they rip his shirt open. And I actually see the gunshot wound, which was under his heart. Which automatically I thought, damn, that's a bad location for him to get shot.
Yeah.
Right? I go all the way to the emergency room. Still speaking to him this whole time. Right? Of course, we get arrested and I found out that information. But like I said, I had to make a choice. Now, and I'll tell you a story. And his daughter, Leah Fernandez, who's 15 years old now, right? My niece. And I shared the story with her. She might be a little embarrassed, right? And part of the reason I knew I had to do something, at 6 years old, the first thing she told me was, I'm going to get those people that got my father, right? She's already seeking revenge.
Right.
And I was so scared because she was so passionate and determined with her words and intentional words. And I was like, first of all, I didn't even know how she found out what happened to her dad and how it happened. Right. And for her to already have the mindset, I'm going to seek revenge, I'm going to get those people, it broke my heart.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to turn this negative into a positive.
Yeah.
With my first event, I channeled that negative energy that she did have inside of her. And I said, honor your father by doing some kind of performance. Because at the time, she wasn't playing ball on that level. So she couldn't be part of my event in that aspect. But I want part of the event. The whole dance performance component. And, she danced to one of her father's favorite songs and favorite artists, which is dope. Who was fabulous. And that was one of his nicknames, Fab. And that was considered therapeutic for me and for her and for my community. Right. And that's how I dealt with losing somebody in the community. Wow. Honoring them, right? Turning a negative into a positive, right? Creating memorial events for them, right? Giving every platform to honor them. Whether it's, if you're an artist and you want to pay something to honor them, shout out to my boy Marty, who did a dope portrait of my man Charlie. Yeah, definitely. If you're a dancer, be a rapper. And it wasn't just for my particular situation with Charlie. Anybody that suffered a similar tragedy or loss in the community, I allowed them to be part of my event. Even from the kids that volunteered to work my events. There was girls like Lejeune. She had lost her dad. I was like, I want you to work my event because you understand how it feels to lose somebody that you love and care for. Right, and that's together. I always wanted the people involved that felt a similar tragedy and loss in their life.
Oh, definitely, man.
And that was definitely God. That was definitely God influencing me.
Yeah, definitely. So Sam, in speaking about Charlie, and you've done, this is what, going to be your fourth event now? Your fifth event?
Ninth annual Charlie Fernandez.
Ninth annual? Sheesh.
Yeah.
Wow. Ninth annual I Can Do Better event.
Yes.
In the name of Charlie.
Yes.
Speak on his life a little bit. I mean,
So Charlie, and I'll tell you a couple of funny stories. So we've known each other since second grade.
Okay.
Charlie was a tough guy to class. I was a tough guy to class. So as you know, when you go to school, you're going to have your older friend, and they can be like, my little man could beat up your little man. So that was kind of the position they put me and Charlie in, right? We're from two different worlds and two different neighborhoods. I'm from the projects. He's from Little Italy.
Okay.
Right? And with the project mentality, you think, if you're not from the project, you're not tough, right? And I had Charlie, you can be tough no matter where you from. It's about where you from, right? It's about what you got in your heart.
Yeah.
So we had that battle, and I remember I saw him in the bathroom, right? The boys' bathroom. We had a bathroom break, and I kicked him while he was using the bathroom in the back at that, right? Now that I think about one of the most disrespectful things you can do to a man, right? He's peeing. You think you tough? And I just kicked him in the back. Boom! Walked away like I was gangster. Like it was cool to do something like that. Second grade. I walk away. I'm going to class. I heard some footsteps. Oh, he runs, jumps on my back. Boom! We fall on the floor. We start wrestling. Boom. So it was like a tie. I'm going to say nobody won. It was a tie. We had mutual respect for I guess. And to fast forward to sixth grade, that's how we kind of became best friends, right? We respected each other mutually as the best athletes in our class, right? So I'm on the same team as Charlie. We're playing in Pompeii, which is by West 4th. It's a church by West 4th.
I know you're talking about.
One of the worst gyms I ever played in my life.
Still is.
The size in my room, it had bathroom tiles. You know them little ass tiles at the gym floor. That was the gym floor.
I know what you're talking about.
The backboard was stuck to the wall, where if you laid up too hard, you crash your face first into the wall. And we would literally jump off the wall to dunk on the left. Worst gym of all time. So we're playing there, right? And at the time, Charlie is working in his godfather/uncle's supermarket. Nobody's really working a real job at 12 years old. He had a job. He was making money. At the time, the Shell North Faces was popping. The Gore-Tex shells. Purple joint. There was no locker room. So if you played ball and you had a game, you would have to put your shit on the side. We played against a rival program called Joy Center. Our program was St. Patrick's. His Gore-Tex North Face jacket was stolen. I'm the only black kid on the team. So it was a bunch of Dominican kids, maybe one Asian, maybe one Puerto Rican, and me.
Right.
I'm from the hood. We're ignorant, we're loud. Whoever stole my man's is gonna get, I'm talking the most shit, right? Riding out for my man Charlie, right? He didn't get it back. We leave. We go to Charlie's block. We're on Mulberry Street, right?
Yeah.
We feast at, right where the beginning of the feast, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a big ass block. The church is there. St. Patrick's Church is there.
Yeah.
So we're playing 2-hand touch football, right? After our basketball game.
Right.
As we're playing, and it's probably like 8 of us. No, not even 8. It's probably like at least 10 of us.
Right.
We see about 30 people walking towards us. A whole community neighborhood of people coming towards us.
That's crazy.
So we look, and a couple of my friends like, oh shit, that's Joyce and that's those kids from Forsyth.
Okay.
So, being that me and Charlie were the tough guys, so what?
Yeah.
Yo, let's get the fuck out of here. It was like, fuck out. I ain't running from nobody. I ain't shit. So me, Charlie, my boy Dave, and Charlie's brother Richie decided to stay. Everybody else ran and hid behind cars. So this was like an old school movie, Hank. These people form and circle around us. Like a movie. We don't run. We ain't scared.
Yeah.
We in the middle of this circle now, right?
Yeah.
So they picked the oldest person, the most gangster person in their neighborhood. He's 19, maybe 20 years old. We're 12. Heck, we're 12 years old. So he approaches Charlie. I heard y'all was talking shit like you was gonna do something about somebody stealing a fucking North Face. So I know Charlie's crazy. He's one of them crazy Dominicans. He'll fuck. So Charlie's gonna pop it off, right?
Yeah.
Had a box cutter. Remember, box cutter is the orange box cutter. The littlest one. Remember the little one? I can't do no damage. He had one of them shits. But I'm 12. A box cutter is like a gun at that age.
That's a fact.
I've never box cutter before, right? So Charlie's ready to talk his shit. I pushed Charlie to the side and said, I was the one talking shit. I stepped up.
Yeah.
He grabs me and puts the box cutter to my throat. I'm tall though. Remember, I'm 5'11". I'm a 5'11" kid.
You don't think you're 12?
30 people. I'm taller than the most people. I'm taller than him. But he got the box cutter to my throat. Charlie can't do nothing. Can't do nothing. Dave can't do nothing, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like a movie. It's like, think of, what's that movie? Juice, right?
Juice.
When they had Tupac.
Yeah.
Back in his nose, right? Some of my Tupac shit. You know what I mean? Head out, tough still. Right? So he's talking shit, right? He pushes me, I ain't gonna front, pushes me into a pile of garbage. The most disrespectful shit you can do. I fall in a pile of garbage. Right? Like I said, at that age and at that time, my pride, I would die rather than being called pussy, considered pussy in my hood. I would rather die. I was ready to die for that, right?
Right.
I grab a garbage bag and my boy's like, don't fucking, I was gonna hit him with the garbage, like, fuck that shit, right? Because now he don't have it against my neck. Whatever happens after this happens, right?
Yeah.
I grab the garbage bag. My boy says, don't do it. Charlie goes, you know what? I'm gonna go get my Uncle Flea. So let's think of old school, right? Everybody has an uncle or OG in their neighborhood that can go get, that everybody knows is crazy, that they're gonna be fearful of, right? So once he says, I'm gonna get my Uncle Flea, who was a big-ass bodybuilder that was supposed to make it to the major leagues, who was crazy and popped it off anytime. When I tell you all 30 people said, oh shit, Flea, not Flea, and they ran, I said, what the fuck just happened? I was in a movie. I'm in Little Italy. I'm on Mulberry in front of a church.
That's a fact.
Get one human being, and 30 human beings ran back to their blocks. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Shit was crazy. So after that happened, obviously everybody else that ran, we considered them pussy.
They suck, yeah.
Right? Even though I love them to this day, right? These are still my friends.
They still ran, though.
But they were smart. They were 12. You can't 30 people 10 deep.
Nah.
I could have got cut. I could have got whatever could have happened. I was dumb and ignorant at the time.
Right.
At heart.
Yeah.
But that connected me and Charlie even closer, right?
Right.
And Charlie was the type of friend, and we all have those friends, hot-headed. And every time I was with Charlie, we would end up getting some kind of fight. It wasn't my beef. It was always his beef, right? And we would do stupid shit like pranks, where we would get fishing wire, and we would tie from one pole to another pole, right? Watch people walk by, boy. And I remember one time, there was a dude riding, no matter of fact, he was with his girlfriend, big white boy, right? And she got caught up. Caught up crazy, right? Oh shit, hold on.
I'll edit it, Tori.
She got caught up so crazy, right? And we're hiding behind cars laughing, right? And right before that, we had somebody on a bike riding with no hands. He got caught, fell. We're laughing. So he catches us laughing, right? Big 6'5". We're in 6th grade.
Yeah.
So he pops it over one of us. We're like 10 deep. I still have my book bag. I didn't even go home after school.
Yeah.
So remember, we had textbooks back in the day. Social studies, math.
Books like this big.
Yeah. 20-pound books. 20-pound books. So we jumping this big dude, but we can't take him down.
He's too
I put
big.
up with my big ass heavy book bag with my textbook, and I rock him in the top of the head. Boom! Boom! Break him down, break him up. So Charlie was the type of friend, he was ride or die, but you always had to be ready to fight.
Right.
So I always was able to fight. I was big and strong, but on the street with older people, I had to learn how to do that because Charlie wasn't afraid of nobody. We was fighting grown men when we were 12, 13, 14. We will always be in those situations because Charlie did not walk away from any situation, right?
Right.
So that was pretty much growing up with Charlie. And then he was really wise for his age, right? And I give him credit now that he's gone. I'm giving his flowers now that he's gone. But not only was he my best friend, he was kind of like a mentor to me. Like he would give me advice how to mend my relationship with my moms and say that's one of the most important relationships you have with a human being in your life, right? And we all go through that phase where it was like, I ain't listening to my mom's, man. She's crazy. She's doing this. She's saying that. You don't have so many friends telling you, no, that's wrong. Don't ever think that way. Always respect your mother.
That's a real friend. That's a real friend.
That's a real friend, right? And I grew up with project friends that would tell you to do the ignorant things, right? And he wasn't from the project and he didn't have that project mentality, that ignorant mentality, right? And he was the type of friends, he would put me on to things, right? Obviously, he grew up in Little Italy, so they had some of the best Italian restaurants, right? He lived a couple of blocks away from Wohop, right? So
Wohop, that's on my street. That's on my street, yeah.
It's on my street.
Yeah, okay.
My street. So me, I used to go for chicken with French fries. Like, nah, you don't order like that. And you order food and get that shit on real plates. Like, I didn't know. I was a project kid. Didn't know that. So he would educate me and elevate me with little things like that. Even dates. Teach me how to go out on dates with females. Because project dudes, we only doing movies. We're not really trying to pay for the females. We're not really taught that like that, right? So I didn't have a father figure. And I'm not going to say Charlie was a father figure, but he had a major male influence in my life.
Gotcha.
Even when I was in college, right? And I'm gonna share a funny story. I was a college athlete doing my thing.
Of course.
New York, though. I'm in a small town. So you already know I'm gonna try to get some money on the side out there. It's real easy, right? So I'm doing my thing through him because he was the at that point, right? He chose a different route. Mind you, we always had dreams and aspirations of playing high school ball together, and we went to Cardinal Hayes together in the Bronx, and playing college ball together, and eventually going to the NBA together, right? Obviously, he chose a different route, and he was living through me, all right? I kept playing ball. I ended up playing college ball, and he was so happy for me, where he could have easily been jealous or envious.
Right.
And he always told me, finish school, do what you got to do, even though I was doing my thing on the side, right?
Right.
I get robbed. I ain't gonna front get robbed out there, right? I'm from New York.
Right.
No way I'm gonna let go getting robbed in Massachusetts of all places, right? And I'm listening to Styles P and the Lots heavy at the time, right? And music influences us so much. I'm ready to get the hammer, do all kind of crazy, throw my college career away. I called Charlie Mo. He's the one that's really taking a loss. And he's like, yo, that's first of all, that loss you took. That's part of the game that I've been robbed. Mad people have been robbed before. Don't fall into that rap music. That's not real. They're not. All of them are not really doing what they're rapping about. You go and do something. You lose. You know what I mean? You lose your scholarship. You get kicked out of school. You go to jail. That's ignorant. Let that shit go.
That's a fact.
And I ended up letting it go. You know. And he was the type of friend. I have a friend who was overweight at the time, and he said, if we were in a burning building, I would not leave this building unless I could drag him out. And me, like, fuck out of here. I'm out of here. You know what I mean? So that was the man he was, and that kind of friend he was. Even up until his demise, it wasn't his beef originally. It was somebody that worked for him that got robbed. And he went over there to step up for him and talk to the person. The person pulled out a hammer on him. And because Charlie had a boxing background, he beat the dude up and took the person's gun. And that person didn't let it go because once again, we've had to die over our pride. Right. You rob somebody, you pull out a gun at somebody, and they beat you up and take the gun, and you still want to beef with them? And I've been black over a year. And because he couldn't beat Charlie, and Charlie beat that dude up every single time they encountered each other, he started to target Charlie's neighborhood. he said it's green light on your neighborhood, right? And if you a gangster and you in the streets, you don't do shit during the daytime where women and children and families are around. And that's what this person do, go in Charlie's local park and beat up a innocent person to send a message to Charlie in the neighborhood.
Wow.
And he got to the point where Charlie was fed up. He was over it, right? They even threw a brick through his car window right, while it was parked. And he was like, what if my kids was in that car, right? God forbid. So, you know, he had rounded up a few people the night before his demise.
Yeah.
We're all in the pool hall. I was actually on a date. And I brought my date to the pool hall and telling her, like, I might have to deal with real situation. Because no matter where I was at in life, that was my brother.
Right.
He was going through something. I was going through something. Right. He really didn't want me involved with it. He was beefing this person for over a year. But because I was doing so well in life and I was so positive, he didn't want me to be part of it. But at the time, he couldn't trust the people that was in the streets, the people that was supposed to be gangster, right? Long story short, that night when we gathered everybody up, nothing happened. The next night, we're hanging out. He's having a good time. He's chilling with his son, who's 1 year old at the time. He had 2 daughters prior, and he was so happy to have a son. And we're having an amazing time, and we get the call from a fiend at that. I got the drop on the people you beef with. If you could catch them right now. As we're walking over to beef, we stopped 3 different times and said, yo, I got a bag up, and let's not do it. Let's go back. And he was so frustrated and wanted to get this beef over with already. And he was old school. It wasn't like he wanted to go over there and shoot somebody, cut somebody. He wanted them to give him an old school ass whooping where they will learn their lesson and leave us alone. And obviously, people don't let go with shit. You can't give somebody an old school and think they can accept it, right? We were prepared. I ain't gonna front. We had people strapped, ready to do whatever they gotta do. I hope I'm not incriminating myself.
I'll mute. Yeah, you know.
Ain't nothing happened. We didn't do nothing on our end. Long story short, we see these people. We get into a fight, right? Yeah. Me, Charlie, and his 2 brothers. We're beating them up crazy. And Charlie already had like a broken wrist from beating him up earlier that week, right? So all Charlie could really do was hold the dude because he had one hand. I'm in there hitting him with everything I got. Yeah. We're fighting him inside of a barbershop/salon. So I'm grabbing the blow dryer, breaking it on his head. Boom! I'm grabbing the stool, breaking it on. Boom! They look like WWE in there. And Charlie was so happy that I was doing this. Because at one point, they beat up his innocent cousin, Noel, who they beat. They hit him with a car, then they beat him up with bats to the point where you couldn't even recognize him in a hospital, right? And this is his baby cousin that he held in his arms. And Charlie was never going to let that go. He kept saying, this is for Noel. This is for Noel, right? And in the hood, you have a mental clock. After 5 minutes, somebody's calling the cops, right? So Charlie's like, let's get the fuck out of here. As we leave, he's holding the door for everybody as we're running out. And I hear the gunshots, pow, pow. Charlie's limping towards me. But with all that said, he was just a great person. He loved sports. He loved his community. He loved his family. He loved to see who was up next in his neighborhood and supported them when it came to their sport. And it was only right I did that event because he would love to be at an event, like an I Can Do Better event. You know, supporting the youth, uplifting the youth. That was the type of person he was. He was a man's man. You know what I'm saying? With a lot of old school values that I really, 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 really respected, you know? And he helped me get through so many different things in life. And, you know, he went from my best friend to my brother, right? And like I said, growing up in the projects, you have a lot of ignorant friends that want to keep you, you know, doing a lot of negative things. And he wasn't that friend. No matter where he was in life, if he was doing something positive, he would want you to stay in that lane. Yeah, definitely. Wow. So, yeah, that's the story on Charlie. And I'm actually working on a documentary on my story with I Can Do Better and how I met Charlie and how I dealt with Charlie. Like, it changed my perspective from being super project kid, only having one mentality to being more open-minded. And he opened my mind to food, to culture, to even street situations. You know what I'm saying? Right. And he's still influential in my life.
I hear you. It sounds like it, man. Sounds like it. Let's talk about your future endeavors. You got the 9th annual I Can Do Better event coming up. What's going on with that so far? Like, what's the date?
So, I'm really excited because this is my comeback year. Obviously, we went through the pandemic. You know, I was hiding out in Jersey, shorty. I wasn't really trying to be in a city like that. And it hurt me. that I couldn't do that event, right? And I had a long talk with Charlie's daughter, Aaliyah, and that's how the whole documentary, I Got a Story to Tell, came about. I was stuck in the house and I was trying to be creative, right? And I thought about that documentary. Now, with this up-and-coming event, because I missed last year, I want to turn up, right? Because it's a one-day event, so it's not a tournament, right?
Right.
After your show, I want people that attend my event to leave saying, God damn, did you see that dance performance? Did you see that music performance? Damn, I left giveaway. I left with that giveaway because I'm known for giving things away. Sneakers, t-shirts, etc. So some of the things that I have lined up is dodgeball outdoors. It's something I've had on my bucket list forever. I went to the boys club, and dodgeball was one of the most fun activities that we had at the boys club. And there's so many different variations of dodgeball. And I don't care how old you get, dodgeball is fun. It's exciting.
Yes, it is. It's
going. So I've always wanted to do outdoor dodgeball. But with dodgeball, you need like a closed space so the dodgeball will fly everywhere. So, you know, when I was young, I was into steel cage matches, right? But in my head, I do a steel cage dodgeball match inside the court, right? So now if you get hit, you gotta come out the cage, right?
Right.
So dodgeball is one of the things I'm adding to my I Can Do Better event I've never done, right?
Right.
I always do middle school, high school, and college for my event as far as basketball. Right? I always do dance performances. Shout out to the Waffle crew, right? Who we've seen on all kind of trains doing performances. Definitely. I've had them like 6 years ago performing. Yes.
I remember.
Yeah, I've had them. So I want my audience to feel like even if I don't like basketball, I still got something out of this event. So of course I'm gonna have some dance performers, musical performers. It depends on the situation. I'm working on a hip hop violinist to perform through my boy Mike Henney. Nice. I also have Mika J. Woods performing some poetry. She performed at our last event.
Okay. Yeah, she was dope. I saw her on your IG stream.
So High 97 usually DJs my event. I usually have 2 DJs.
Nice.
So I always pick a community DJ so they can network with High 97 and potentially get an opportunity. So I treat my whole event like a platform. So if you're an up-and-coming artist in my neighborhood, that's your stage. I'm gonna put you out. So I have Leaky Bands. Shout out to Leaky Bands, who's from Valatics, my projects.
Right.
On my event. I've had YBC perform at my event. Hope I don't forget nobody right now. I had Sweat on my event.
Right.
Damn. It's hard. This is the tough one when you have to do shout outs. You got to remember everything.
Listen, you've done 8 events. Like I
had my man 212 Morley perform on my event. Ain't Got No Job. AK Money Boys. I've had a few people perform at my event. So my event is a whole bunch of things combined. Recently, I've done the Register to Vote event where I had the vote, kick flip the vote with the skateboarders. I even had the big wheel kids that pop wheelies in the hood pull up to my event. So I like, culture clashing and merging cultures together where you wouldn't see skateboarders, bikers, runners, and basketball players in the same event representing the same cause. That's the kind of energy I'm going to put out April 24th. I'm also going to pay tribute to Kobe, who's my favorite player. I'm a diehard Kobe fan.
Yeah. You have a picture with him?
Yeah, I definitely have. I've met Kobe. I have a Kobe story. Yeah. Once he passed away, I probably did an event for Kobe the same week he passed away.
Wow.
Right? To honor him. And I told myself, if I ever do a basketball event, I'm always going to find a way to honor my favorite player. If the NBA could do it, I can do it.
Definitely.
So we're going to do a Kobe tribute.
I'm kind of excited for this next event. Definitely, I'm.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I want to turn. Obviously, at our last event, we had the marching band, Brooklyn United Marching.
Yeah.
I love to bring those elements to the community because the first time I seen a marching band was when I went away to college and I was playing a game.
Yeah.
And playing and performing while I was playing, which threw me off. I'm dribbling like, what the fuck? Like, marching band? What am I doing right now? Right? So it brings me joy to give our youth in our community those first-time experiences, if I can.
Definitely.
I'm also working on a step team.
Okay.
And with me, right, with the words I can do better, I've always envisioned nothing but competition and battles at my event. So if I could get 2 step teams to battle, if I could get 2 marching bands to battle with some I can do better mentality, which is the thing I promote, I can do better mentality, right? And it's not to put somebody down, it's to uplift, right? And competition sometimes uplifts you, right? And pushes you to get better and greater at what you do, right?
Definitely.
And I can do better is all about not being content and staying where you're at. It's about growing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So definitely a step team. Even if I could get a historically Black college fraternity to come down and do something, just to inspire kids to maybe join a fraternity or even go to college or historically Black colleges, especially. Yeah. Those are the elements that I want to bring to the table, on April 24th. And these are the things that I'm working on right now. I have a whole art piece where we're going to have a lot of artists out there displaying their art. I'm really big into art. I'm actually working on the clothing line right now, even though I feel personally that it's oversaturated in our community. Like everybody's a rapper, everybody's a producer, everybody's a clothing line designer. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. But
it's the era though. It's the era of,
creative person, if you have a vision, you got to put it out there. I'm not an artist, but I do have a vision, right? Definitely. And there's different forms of art. You don't have to be a person that could draw to be an artist, right? I feel like with me coordinating my event, there's an art to it. There's a form of it.
Definitely.
Right, on how I want it to look. So with the words, I can do better, you know what I'm saying? Which is like an affirmation. And I also meditate. I always wear things that I feel like if somebody asks me a question,
makes a statement.
And it represents something. Like even with this shirt right now, right? Yeah. Shout out to Cool Culture, right? A brand in my community. This is a flag upside down, right? Yeah. And obviously it was made in 2020 where we had our Black Lives Matter movement. You know what I mean? A lot of different things going on in our country and our country. So I love what this represents, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So a lot of the things that I wear express how I feel, you know what I'm saying? And I always feel like I can do better. So why not wear my own brand, right?
Definitely.
So hopefully I'll have a piece that I could wear at my own event. I'm real particular with my merch and the clothing line. So I don't want to start off where, I'm selling like $20 t-shirts. I want my drink upscale. You know what I mean? High end.
Hey, listen.
I want my clothing line to be in a boutique. I don't want to sell it off of Instagram. Yeah. I want it in a boutique.
You say I can do better, but you've done better and you continue to do better. And I mean, with you doing this amazing work and, impacting the lives that you've impacted, and it's thousands of kids, thousands of people. Even myself, man, coming around a guy like you with the energy that you have, like, and you were like the real, like I had been working in LES for since 2005. So it was 6 years before I met you. And I learned more about the LES from the short time, from the 6 months that I was around you than I ever did. It was just you were oh yeah, this over here. And it's you were just, you knew everybody. I'm just yo, man, and you always had that positive energy. You know what I'm saying? There was even it didn't matter what it was or whatever it was, your energy was, you always had that good energy. And that draws people to you.
It does. Thank you. I'm a super optimistic person.
Yeah.
And I believe in people. I want to invest in people. I want to advocate for people, programs, and my community. That's just my mentality.
Definitely.
So the name makes I could do better.
Definitely, let me know when that documentary comes out. Let's try to shoot for a small showing in a theater or something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's anything is possible, brother. Even if it's...
I watch Netflix, and to me, some of the most popular things on Netflix is documentaries, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're all curious to learn more about things, people, and places, right? And I'm also working on a club documentary too. Okay. I know a lot of OG, door people, room curators, and some of these stories from the Tunnel and Club Speed and Limelight.
Oh yeah.
Ew. I love hanging out with older people. Shout out to the True Yorkers, my sponsors. And these are some of the illest OGs in New York. I have the experiences. Talk about, I used to hang out with Basquiat, right? And I mean, hold on a high pedestal. That's my man. What are you talking about? That was my man. So, and I feel community, right? Being a kid from the projects, I feel like we all have a story to tell, right? And we get put in these boxes where you have to be an athlete or a rapper. You telling your life experience can sell on TV. I watch it all day.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
And people pay to watch that, right? Yeah. Especially all this white guilt in this country. They're very intriguing people.
While it lasts, right? While it lasts. While it lasts.
My Caucasian brothers and sisters. But I'm just keeping it real, right? I'm just giving my opinion. I feel like we can make money outside of those things that the stigmas are set to be in our communities, like basketball and rap, right? We could do other things. We could be directors. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. We could be the Mike Lee, right? Definitely. We just got to put our minds to it.
Definitely. It's your influence and your, people seeing, Sam did it. Sam did it, and why can't I do that? You know what I'm saying? Like Sam's making this happen, and he's being a positive influence. And at one time, being a positive influence wasn't cool.
It wasn't cool. You know that.
So and you made that cool. Now
that's a fact. And I appreciate you saying that, right? Being a good person not always cool. No, that's not who the kids look up to. Being not always cool. Seriously. And I've been working hard to be fly and be cool and doing positive things to influence our kids. And that, if you remember Jonathan Cherry, but we call him Cherry.
I remember.
One of our most
popular. He was a knucklehead when he was a kid, man. He's a knucklehead.
Our athletes in the Lower East Side.
That's it.
He's actually my god brother. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh wow.
He got a logo right now, right?
Okay.
His brand is Cocoa Mango Cherry, right?
Oh, the ices, the
it's
icy,
a flavor. Yeah. Cocoa Mango Cherry, right? And I think that's ill.
Yeah.
And I'm always tapping in with him and trying to inspire him. And he's up and down with, should I drop my clothing line or should I put my brand out there? I'm like, do it. And I was part of that inspiration without even knowing, right? Because he said he wants to do a give back event in the community event because he realized that he's a leader and he's a role model without even wanting to be. We don't choose role models. It's what you do and how you live your life, right? That creates that for us. So all the younger kids look up to him and want to be like him.
Definitely.
And I actually helped him get his first logo. He created some shirts limited edition shirts that he gave the particular kids that he believes in, that he inspires, which is ill and dope. So that goes along with what you were just saying about inspiring without even knowing you're inspiring the next leaders, the next Mr. I Could Do Betters, right? The next For the Love of the Cities, you know what I mean? The next whatever's out there, right?
Definitely. That's dope. So my brother, if we could do that, I feel like we could talk.
Yo, it's 9:34.
I didn't even realize either. I looked at him like, oh my God.
I don't feel like I even talked that much. I have much more to say. You got to talk about documentary. Word up. Order going to come out right now.
Definitely.
424. I Can Do Better. Charlie Fernandez tribute. Anti-gun violence. You already know. Tompkins Square. 12 to 5.
There we go. Any last words for the people?
Oh, last words for the people. Believe in your dreams. Don't never give up on your dreams. Definitely. Never be content where you're at. You can always strive for greatness and be better than what you are. I can do better. You can do better. We can do better. The United Way.
There we go. I have been Just Heck. This is Mr. I Can Do Better, a.k.a. Sam Jacques. This has been another episode of Just Another Podcast. Thank you for joining. Follow Mr. I Can Do Better on Instagram. Tap into these events. Show support if you can. Support can just be a like on Instagram. It doesn't take much. If you want to come through, definitely come through. Always a great event, great people. Just come through, have a good time, take part in the events, and take care. Be good out there, be safe, have a good one. Tune into the next one. Peace, y'all.